Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Hello and welcome to Veterans Voices. I'm Nick Toma.
I'm Candace Kelly. Tonight we will highlight veterans from across our region and nation, and some paid the ultimate sacrifice of war.
And we're going to meet other veterans who devote their lives to recognizing the work of those in the military past, present, and future, and are striving to keep veterans' voices alive for a new generation.
We begin tonight with a long-standing effort to benefit local veterans in memory of one who laid down his life for his fellow soldiers.
That effort is named after a Pennsylvania patriot from Lackawanna County killed in action more than a decade ago. Eyewitness News reporter Mark Hiller looks at how vets in need are helping in memory of one who gave all.
It's a special delivery at the shelter for homeless veterans called St. Francis Commons.
Third floor for the washer, one washer, one dryer.
2 brand new washers and a dryer replace appliances that took a beating.
When you have 30 vets, they get a lot of use, so we've had them breaking down. They were 4 years old, they weren't commercial, they get used multiple times a day.
The 2 new washers and dryer cost more than $1,800, but St. Francis Commons didn't have to pay a single penny.
We wanted to use some of the proceeds from this year's ride to replace those.
The Sergeant Jan Arganish ride covered the cost. The annual fundraiser in Lackawanna County began in 2008 at first as a way to benefit a few critically injured veterans. Since then, the nonprofit, started by Talia Walsh, has raised nearly $300,000 to help hundreds of injured and homeless vets and other vets struggling to make ends meet during the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's the right thing to do, and that's something that he always lived by, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Walsh adopted that motto from her late fiancé, the soldier for whom the annual motorcycle ride is named. 26-year-old Sergeant Jan Arganish was killed in action during an August 2007 ambush in Afghanistan.
We can honor his memory and in doing so do something to give back.
The washer-dryer delivery here this day isn't the only one made possible by the annual Sergeant Jan Arganish ride. Funds this year are also being used to purchase yet another washer and dryer and a stove. But this isn't where the giving back stops. The annual ride has provided this facility alone food and holiday season care packages containing such things as personal grooming items and gift cards for veterans.
The presents are obviously appreciated, but it goes way beyond that. It's having somebody thinking about you around the holidays that provides a feeling that you can't replicate through dollars.
Veterans like Rick McCovey reap the benefits.
Talia is definitely a blessing.
McCovey and his service dog Buddy have stayed a couple of stints at St. Francis Commons, which welcomes homeless vets to stay for up to 24 months. He is among hundreds of veterans to experience the compassion and kindness, thanks to Walsh, who found a way to carry on after suffering such a personal tragic loss 13 years earlier.
For her to have received his death the way she has and helping and causing his memory to live on, that's a wonderful thing.
As for what lies ahead for the Sergeant Jan Arganish ride,
It is a lot emotionally, and it's time and it's effort on behalf of myself and Jan's family and our committee.
Walsh vows to continue the nonprofit for at least the near future.
Being able to be here today and see the washer and dryer be delivered and meet the veterans and get to meet them after they've transitioned from here and they're back on their feet, it just makes me happy to know that they're doing well because of the help we've provided in honor of Jan. It makes it easier, it's healing for me, and it's healing for Jan's family and his friends and the guys that served with him.
Adding to a legacy of service and sacrifice. For Veterans Voices in Scranton, Mark Hiller, Eyewitness News.
We have more on Sergeant Jan Arganish on PAHomepage.com.
You can also learn more about the ride in his name. Well, Camp Freedom is a place for adventure in Lackawanna County where veterans can relax and find hope and healing in the great outdoors.
Plus, one veteran's mission to recognize the duty and honor of women veterans whose names may have been lost with time. It's all still ahead on Veterans Voices.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Whether it's the fog of war or the responsibilities of our first responders, life can take its toll. But now there's a growing effort across the country and in our area to better serve those who've served us.
Sometimes surrounding yourself with the right environment is the first step. Eyewitness News reporter and our own Marine Corps veteran Kevin Hayes brings us there.
I can tell you from personal experience that transitioning from the military and veteran world to the civilian sector, well, sometimes it can be difficult, but one local nonprofit, they're building a safe haven.
We just want to continue to build out opportunity here so that we can rightly serve these American heroes, these true American heroes.
Welcome to Camp Freedom. Established in 2018, more than 2,000 lives touched.
We do outdoor adventures for disabled veterans, disabled first responders, their family members, and Gold Star families.
Everything from biking, fishing, archery, even shooting ranges and full-on hunts on this massive property in Lackawanna County. The nonprofit always reaching out to some of those most in need.
I see a pattern that our guys and ladies go through. It's isolation, it's drugs and/or alcohol, often starting with prescription, and then it's desperation.
With 1,800 acres here up in Carbondale, this isn't just a getaway for many. This is life-changing.
And I can't tell you the endless and heartbreaking stories of how many guys and ladies have sat with me personally as we're talking, as we're sharing here in the living room or out in the blind, and have talked about that pistol in their mouth.
The stark contrast between regimented life and the freedom so many have fought to protect is a difficult transition to make. Mike Johnson was one of the camp's first visitors.
At the time, it was not something that I was really comfortable with, so I said I literally told Matt there was no way I'm coming. Like, no way it was ever going to happen.
After checking it out and eventually volunteering for half a year, he's now the operations coordinator and sees the harsh realities and lifelong friendships forged as visitors come through week by week.
Sometimes we get overwhelmed and we just can't think through whatever the problem is, and it's a simple solution. You know, sometimes an outside eye can just be like, hey, this is a very easy situation when you're not looking at it right.
Ray Cobb shares a similar story. Coming from a place of darkness, he's found another family and a desire to pay it forward.
It's been great for myself, you know. It's been great for my family. My family can see a big difference in me. I see a difference in myself. I have a sense of purpose again. I love helping other veterans.
Something as simple as reconnecting with nature and fellow veterans who have been to the gutters and back makes an impact and a world of difference.
A lot of times we come back, our first instinct is to drink the pain away a lot of times, you know, drinking or drugs and alcohol, but they're not healthy. Just the outdoors and being around good people and, you know, people that have been through similar situations, it just, I don't know, it's just super therapeutic where, you know, things just happen naturally.
People come home, they're struggling, they're battling, and I think what we all miss is that camaraderie.
Hope is found on these grounds.
You know, once you find out that you're not alone, that there's tons and tons of people that are going through the same exact thing, that it just takes a sense of relief. You have someone you can talk to.
It's a growing camp and support system that has saved lives.
You surround yourself with good people and good things are going to happen. So, and that's kind of what we try to do here.
For Veterans Voices in Carbondale, Kevin Hayes, Eyewitness News.
You may have seen Camp Freedom in the recent season premiere of the History Channel's Counting Cars.
For more on that fundraising effort or the camp itself, head over to pahomepage.com.
The dream of two Central Pennsylvania World War II veterans pays tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice of war.
The Union County Honor Roll stands today because of their dedication and determination to make sure that no veteran will be forgotten. Their story is next.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
A beautiful monument in central Pennsylvania honors those who pay the ultimate sacrifice of war. The Union County World War II Honor Roll can be found in Mifflinburg.
That monument is the vision of two men, veterans who made great sacrifices of their own to ensure these patriots' lives were not forgotten. Eyewitness News reporter Sean Coffey spoke with one of them and has the story.
This is our way of saying thank you to the men and women of this county for what they've done.
Nearly 20 years ago, World War II veterans Al Hess and Drew McAmer had a vision to honor those who defended our country as part of what's known as the Greatest Generation. The end result, the Union County World War II Honor Roll, a monument in Mifflinburg etched with the names of every service member from the county who served in that fight for freedom.
2,260 names from 19 sources: the Historical Society, the newspapers, churches, schools.
It all started as an effort to replace the county's previous memorial after it fell into disrepair. Hess says the support he and the late McAmer received through donations was heartwarming.
It meant a tremendous, and they all got thanked, and to this day we are very much appreciative of it.
Hess's son-in-law Doug Walter has been instrumental in bringing local awareness of the Honor Roll and organizing events that benefit area veterans such as the VA nursing home.
This is a total celebration because our pledge is to not only honor veterans, but to actually do something tangible.
Since its dedication, the monument has grown to include not only veterans of other American wars, but those who lost their lives in American tragedies like 9/11.
Now that takes up about all the space that we do have at this time. But we thought they were very, very important, and so we put them on too.
Nearly 80 years after his service, Hess says it's never been more important to remember the sacrifices his generation made.
I just think of the people that are on here, plus the several million that were in World War II, and it's just a good feeling that we can celebrate and honor them people.
Walter says that's something that often goes overlooked in the comfort of modern life.
What all those folks did to give them their rights to be able to live their lives the way they do, as freely as what they do. And I think appreciation is the one word I think that quickly comes to mind.
For Hess, it was a vision he and McAmer had years in the making, and one he's happy to know will live on for generations to come.
I will always remember this and how it came about that we done this, and I'll never forget it, and I'm very, very happy that we did do it.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Sean Coffey, Eyewitness News.
The Honor Roll's co-founder Drew McAmer passed away back in 2005.
Those interested in supporting the monument can donate to the Hollidaysburg Veterans Home by contacting Doug Walter, and we have that information for you on pahomepage.com. Karen Meeker, an Army chaplain with roots in our region, was recently recognized for her extraordinary achievements as an Army chaplain. She's now serving in South Korea. Her story of faith and duty is next.
And one man's mission to write the stories behind the stars, how you can help honor a veteran by penning a story of your own.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
A Shiksheni area native is making history after being honored for her service to God and our country.
Eyewitness News reporter Rachel Espaillat spoke to Chaplain Karen Meeker about this achievement, her commitment to serve both, and her new assignment in South Korea.
Dedicated to her country, faithful to the Lord.
Look to God, and He gives us the strength and the hope and the joy.
Faith and dedication so strong, Chaplain Karen Meeker of Huntington Mills was inducted into the U.S. Army Women's Foundation Hall of Fame back in March.
What a special day that was, to be able to really to represent, all the things that others have put into my life.
She made history as one of the first female Army chaplains to receive this honor, attributing her accomplishments to her family, hometown support, and God.
How much that, shaped and molded my life and has given me the opportunity to go all around the world and serve in the United States Army.
The chaplain left to South Korea in June to serve as an Army command chaplain. She works closely with Korean allies to help preserve freedom and provide support to U.S. soldiers.
Our soldiers and families are some of the strongest people on the planet. On the outside, you may not see it, like they're not, projecting a lot of stress, but you peel back some of those layers and, people are feeling a lot of stress.
Meeker enlisted back in 1986. Over the years, she's seen a lot of happy times, but she's also been the support for soldiers and their families at their most vulnerable moments. 2020 has been a trying year, especially for those serving overseas. Meeker maintains a positive attitude to keep our men and women moving forward.
That's much more encouraging and hopeful than, focusing on everything that's going on right now. So we're looking out beyond.
When she looks even further beyond to her days of retirement, she hopes to fulfill one thing.
If I get that blessing, is to go back home and give back to the community like it has given to me.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Rachel Espaillat, Eyewitness News.
Chaplain Meeker is a graduate of Bucknell University. She received her Master's of Divinity from Harvard Divinity School, and she received clinical pastoral education at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston.
Her proud family still lives in our area.
Persistence and dedication, key ingredients behind a memorial in Lackawanna County. We'll meet the men who were bound and determined to honor those who fought for our country.
And we'll reintroduce you to Janice Gavern, a proud veteran on a mission to recognize the contribution of local veterans from the past, present, and future.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
We have featured veteran Janice Gavern over the years, from her restored MASH ambulance to highlight history and her work to have women in the military recognized.
Yet Janice is dedicated to bringing recognition to veterans in our area, and her mission is far from over. Eyewitness News reporter Cody Butler caught up with Janice, who is not letting the pandemic slow her down.
Over the years, Janice Gavern has been in the spotlight advocating for women in the military and their stories. In May of 2019, she bought a Kaiser ambulance used in World War II, highlighting the few and the proud women who worked to save the lives of men on the battlefield.
We're going to drive her wherever we can so that we can tell people about women veterans and what they have done over the years.
Her passion grew from that. 6 months later, we caught up with a retired U.S. Air Force veteran again when she displayed stories of women at the American Legion Gardner Warner Post 154 near Montrose.
They thought that the American people were not ready to hear about women who are involved in the military.
With the pandemic, nothing has stopped Janice in the year 2020. Since the last I spoke to you, what have you been up to?
Well, I have been researching.
Which brought us to Nayog Park, to its World War I memorial. 248 names of Scranton veterans who died in the war, 5 of them women who were Army nurses. A 6th woman who was not enlisted worked for the YMCA,
which had a program to recruit women as canteen workers to talk to the men and to cheer them up and to serve them coffee and donuts.
Eugenia Hosey died of the Spanish flu in France. Janice is now looking to register Hosey and the 5 other women at the Women in Military Service for America Memorial in Arlington, Virginia. Her hope is to have their names etched on a new World War I memorial.
So there's all sorts of different ways that you can make sure that her name and her story isn't forgotten. You just have to step up and do it.
Janice went to Washington, D.C. in March for a public policy day with several U.S. congressmen and women to talk legislation efforts for women veterans. Janice left the meeting early on a mission.
So I went by taxi over to the Women's Memorial.
She provided them with 25 registration forms of women veterans in the Scranton area. They belong to an all-women American Legion post from 1920 to 1988 in Scranton. More than 100 of them served in World War I and II.
I was trying to get them registered with the Women's Memorial. I wanted their stories to be remembered.
Janice won't stop there. She is continuing to work on 75 more registrations so they can be entered into the memorial's database.
I am trying to see what can one person do to remember all of the women who have been involved in helping our country as far back as you want to go.
Janice Gavern will continue to advocate for women veterans and all veterans, and encourages others to do the same. For Veterans Voices, I'm Cody Butler, Eyewitness News.
We've included links to some of Janice's recent endeavors on PAHomepage.com, and she's not done yet.
She has many plans for the rest of this year and next to continue to bring recognition to local veterans and their stories. All right, well, it would be difficult to write one biography. Now imagine trying to write 400,000 of them, but a history buff is on a mission to do just that.
Jeremy Hubbard shows us how he hopes to give a voice to every U.S. service member killed in World War II.
We see a field of heroes who served their country, but Don Milne,
when you look at his date of death, it says June 5th, 1943.
Right here, he sees thousands of stories desperate to be told, and he wants to tell as many of them as possible.
His location on the ship, he probably was killed by the torpedo.
Milne lives in Utah, but visited Denver's Fort Logan National Cemetery as part of his new project, Stories Behind the Stars. His goal is to compile short histories of each of the 400,000 plus American service members killed in that war.
I got into this because I started just as a hobby because my kids are older and I have some free time. Every day I would write the story of someone who died during World War II.
In the end, he wants to create a searchable database, even a smartphone app, so users could visit a place like this, scan a name on a headstone.
Yep, that's his story, and we've got it all written here so someone could read it while they're visiting his gravesite.
And be taken straight to a webpage that tells the soldier's story.
And I think it'll give them an idea of what freedoms we have in this country because these people paid the price.
It isn't going to be easy. So far, he's only compiled about 1,200 profiles. So he's enlisting help researching these enlisted men and women. He wants family members and friends to submit stories about their heroes who died and volunteers to help write about these historic men and women.
They just visit grave sites, find a name of someone who died in World War II, and write their story. If you can write an obituary, you can do one of these stories.
His objective may seem ambitious, overwhelming, and impossible, but compared to the goal these heroes fought for in faraway lands more than 75 years ago, it's the least he can do. For Veterans Voices, I'm Jeremy Hubbard.
The Story Behind the Stars website has many amazing stories behind the stars, and as you've heard, they're looking for more.
And to learn more, we have set up a link on PAHomepage.com. The Toby Hanna Army Depot is home to an elite group of men and women who are working to help ensure our freedom.
Recently, Eyewitness News had the unique opportunity to go inside the depot. We're going to take you there next when Veterans Voices returns.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
The Toby Hanna Army Depot is one of the largest employers in our region. Just off of Route 380 in Coolbaugh Township, Army Installation Security keeps tight tabs on the goings-on behind the wire.
Back in February, before the pandemic restrictions were in place, the depot allowed Eyewitness News inside for a glimpse of what it means to the area and beyond. Again, here's Eyewitness News reporter and veteran Kevin Hayes.
We're a DoD organization, we're an Army installation, of course, and we concentrate on repairing, overhaul of CCOM, basically communications and electronic command equipment here for the entire DoD and support the soldiers worldwide.
It's an installation that's basically a city in itself, with its own police and fire departments as well as water supply. Roughly 4,000 employees come to work at the depot each day, tackling hundreds of jobs to support our fighting men and women around the world. Veterans make up more than a third of the workforce, like Navy veteran Denise Pfister.
Now I get to work on the units inside the units, where I worked on the aircraft.
Moving from the Navy to the depot was an easy choice for the Honesdale native.
When I come here, I don't even feel like I'm working, because I love what I do. I love electronics. It doesn't feel like work.
$800 million worth of renovations have been made over the last decade, helping to make sure those responsible for supporting the warfighter are better able to accomplish their mission.
We did this to improve the quality of work environment for our employees, give them better lighting, air conditioning, just a better environment for them to work in.
Along with renovations, the depot is focusing on sustainability, converting buildings to meet new standards for leadership in energy and environmental design.
Here at Tobiana Army Depot, we try to be good stewards of the environment. We try to stay ahead of the curve and kind of stay on the cutting edge of the different environmental technologies.
The depot commander, Colonel John McDonald, says outreach to local communities has been a big focus in building new partnerships that help the region.
As part of the NEPA Alliance in 9 counties northeast of Pennsylvania, and what it means to us to be a part of that and have the support and love from the community and what it means to support our military is just awesome. I'm just glad to be here.
Mechanical engineer Peter Moore understands the work he does from his internship to now has a major impact.
Knowing that every day that I come to work, everything that I do directly impacts someone's son or daughter that's serving in across the world in the Army and military.
It's a point of pride that so many veterans hang up their uniforms in our area and have opportunities at the depot. As a Marine Corps veteran myself, my artillery math was less than practical for reporting, but technically proficient veterans have a big head start here.
As an aviation electronics technician, there's really not much in this area for that type of job, except for coming here.
That previous knowledge and experience is welcomed and respected at the depot because the quality of work directly affects brothers and sisters in arms.
The equipment that we work on saves lives. We help keep the warfighters safe while they're over there fighting in the front lines. If our equipment malfunctions, there's a problem.
For Veterans Voices, Kevin Hayes, Eyewitness News.
Officials at the depot tell Eyewitness News there are opportunities for veterans and civilians with a wide range of specialties.
With approximately 4,000 employees and a $2.7 billion economic impact every year, the Tobiana Army Depot makes their mark on the battlefield and in our own backyard.
Each day, our friend Judge Tom Munley keeps us on top of veterans issues with his Veterans View report.
And he was recently honored during a Major League Baseball game. The Big League Thank You is next on Veterans Voices.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Several war memorials have stood in the Scranton area for years, listing the names of the fallen, but many names were never engraved and that list remained incomplete.
Now there's a new Veterans Monument in Memorial Park, compiling all the names in one spot, giving local families a chance to honor lost loved ones and pay tribute to those who died fighting for our freedom.
It's a lesson in persistence we could all use. 5 years after planning a tribute to fallen Scranton veterans, a 7-foot-tall, 33-foot-long memorial was installed this summer adjacent to Scranton High School. 21 pieces of granite with more than 900 names of soldiers, men and women who left Scranton to fight in 5 different wars and never came home. Organizers say this project was going to be finished pandemic or no pandemic, so they put on their investigative hats and did the painstaking research, uncovering hundreds of veterans' names and verifying them one by one.
We had to go to cemeteries to look up names. We got the Historical Society involved. We got other people involved to get these names together. But the excitement kept building up and building up. And believe it or not, 5 years, 6 years flew by.
The process began with a group of Scranton vets who knew the city's other memorials did not list all the names of the area's war dead, but verifying those remaining names wasn't easy. Obituaries helped, and many local families came forward, believing their relatives were missing from the other memorials. 99% of the names checked out.
We don't want to just do a World War II monument. Let's do a monument that has all 5 wars. We have over 400 names on here that were never named on any other monument or plaque in the city.
Since the memorial went up in July, 5 more names are to be added to the list. Kuchwara says they will get the same respect with the rest of those memorialized on these slabs of granite.
When those names are put on there, we will go through the full ceremony again. They will get the gun salute, the taps. It'll be just like the ceremony that was here the day we were here.
The wall was paid for by state, local, and private dollars, and their work isn't done. Organizers say the county secured an $80,000 state grant to finish the park, including new flagpole bases and new lighting. Kuchwara believes the monument is a fitting tribute to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
This is something that we are going to leave here, that'll stay here till the end of time.
By the way, the bids for the remaining work on the park should go out in early January.
It was a major league honor for Judge Tom Munley, the host of Veterans Views here on Eyewitness News.
In September, Judge Munley was honored by baseball's New York Mets. Since the Mets were not able to have fans in attendance at their home games this year, they honored a virtual veteran of the game instead. Here is Judge Munley's honor.
Thanks to the greatest military force across the globe, America remains the land of the free and the home of the brave. During each Mets home game, we recognize a veteran of the game, and here is our honoree.
Specialist 4th Class Thomas Munley served our country as a member of the United States Army for 2 years. During that time, Thomas served overseas in Vietnam. He received the Bronze Star for Meritorious Service, the Combat Infantry Badge, Army Commendation Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal. Today, Thomas serves as a judge on the Lackawanna County Court of Common Pleas in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and is a proud father of 3. FiServ salutes those who serve.
As the veteran of the game, the video aired on SNY in-game and also played in the park for the players.
Also, Judge Munley received an American flag and a wooden case with a challenge coin, and he had a cardboard cutout replica of himself inside the ballpark as well.
Now, of course, we mentioned Judge Munley is the host of Veterans Views.
Hi, everybody. This is Tom Munley. Thanks again for watching Veterans Views.
Each night during our 5 p.m. newscast, Judge Munley and his team, Attorney Bob Moran and Lackawanna County DA Mark Powell, answer veterans' questions and feature interesting topics of discussion. And if you missed an episode, you can see Veterans View segments on PAHomepage.com. Quite the honor for Scranton native and World War II veteran Charlie Tansitz.
Recently, on his 100th birthday, the city of Scranton named the lane near Scranton Fire Department's Engine Company No. 1 after him. Charlie went to St. Mary's grade school and high school, graduating in 1939. He was drafted into the Army in World War II and served with the 80th Division 305th Medical Battalion. His tour took him through Europe, and he was at the Battle of the Bulge. He has lived in the area his entire life and frequently walks Lake Scranton. Scranton Mayor Paige Cognetti declared October 11, 2020 as Charles J. Tansitz Jr. Day in the city of Scranton. A plot of land in the borough of Archbald, Lackawanna County, is being developed into a place of honor for veterans.
What started out as an idea among few veterans is now a community-wide project for a monument to recognize those who served. We'll take a look at the plans next on Veterans Voices.
And we invite you to visit the Veterans Voices link on PAHomepage.com. There you will find more stories that highlight the contributions of our veterans across the nation.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
It's been a work in progress for the past 4 years in Lackawanna County. The borough of Archbald recently officially acquired the land and is clearing the area for the proposed Archbald Veterans Monument Park.
Eyewitness News photojournalist Joseph Butash takes us to Kennedy Drive to look at the plan for this new monument park.
Say 2 years is a goal. Realistically, I think it will probably take a little bit longer. We're located here on Kennedy Drive, and this location was a property formerly owned by Lockheed Martin. We've went to Lockheed Martin a few years ago, and as we started this project back in 2016 was actually the beginning. We came up with the idea to do a veterans monument.
There was an opportunity to get the land here and do something to honor our veterans within the community. It ended up being started with just veterans of Archbald, but the project grew. There was a lot of interest in it, and I think it's going to be a good community project for the surrounding area as well to honor the veterans who served our country.
The monument will include is a 400-foot monument wall, which which will include tiles of veterans. It will also include a static display of a military piece. It will also include a pavilion for our residents to have events. And also, with close proximity to the school, especially in today's world, they'll be able to utilize it for classes if they want to have a class here.
I think the location has spiked people's interest and, hopefully will help get more people involved in helping us get the project completed.
Archbald Veterans Monument Park organizers will sell monument tiles to help with the funding there. We have the information about the tiles and other fundraising events for the monument on pahomepage.com.
The organizers are estimating the entire project will take 2 or 3 years to complete.
A trip to the Greens is helping to support children and spouses of those killed or disabled while serving our nation.
We will head to the golf course to learn more about the Folds of Honor tournament.
Eyewitness News is honoring those who served with Veterans Voices.
Dozens of golfers from around the area recently hit the links for a good cause.
Eyewitness News reporter Joe Garrison has more on the effort to help military families send loved ones to college.
More than 140 golfers played in the annual Folds of Honor golf tournament in Milton. Folds of Honor is a national organization that raises money to provide scholarships to military families. Recipients are children and spouses of those killed or disabled while serving their nation.
A lot of it does stay local. I believe they do about $15 or $20 million in scholarships since it started. There's usually 4,000 to 5,000 scholarships a year. The scholarships total about $5,000.
This year's tournament was held at the Winding Brook Golf Club in Milton. Turnout was so strong this year, several teams teed off in the morning to allow everyone a chance to play.
You got it. Very good. Nice job.
Additional money is raised during a silent auction of artwork and golf-related items. More than $54,000 has been raised locally for veterans' families over the last 5 years. Organizers say they are thankful for the generosity of business sponsors and the dozens of golfers willing to donate to the cause.
A lot of the guys just ask what else they can do. What do I need help with? What do my dad and I and my family need help with for next year? What can they do for this year? Always throwing out different ideas on how to help do fundraising. And, we'd like to turn it into maybe something that's not just a golf tournament.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Joe Garrison, Eyewitness News.
Plans are already in the works for next year's Folds of Honor golf tournament in central Pennsylvania.
We want to thank you folks for joining us tonight for this tribute to our area veterans, and we thank each and every one of you for your service.
We have many more stories on pahomepage.com under the Veterans Voices link. Thank you for joining us. I'm Candace Kelly.
And I'm Nick Toma. Have a great evening.